Okay, hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today with Lolo Heimuli of Balmoral Liga, OG of New Zealand combat sports, wealth of knowledge on combat fighting, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. Yeah.
Bro, so I wanted to catch up with you to talk about a couple of things. One of the key things, obviously, being UFC 293, which just happened recently. I was in attendance, and Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. From my perspective, Izzy didn't quite look himself. Interested in your take on things, man.
Well, yes, it's before we get there and discuss Israel, congratulations to Sean. He's looked like he's been training really hard, and he looks probably perhaps the more hungrier fighter. And I talked to Ray Sefo the other day, and Sean's already back training again, inspiring the guys. So, yeah.
And that's the interesting thing, Lolo. Interesting that you mentioned that obviously there's some links on both sides back to you, being Ray Sefo was helping with some training of Sean Strickland, and obviously Izzy's got the links to Eugene Bareman, which link back to you directly as well, right? It's a kind of interesting thing for you to be a part of.
Yes, I was very humble, and Izzy's always proud to talk about BLG lineage, Balmoral Liga, but not to hear to Coach Rick and Sean talk about Ray Sefo and our leaders over the US. That blew me away. I didn't realize that. I have a big poster at the gym donated by Israel of his fight with Brett Tavares, who also worked with Ray Sefo. As soon as I heard him talk about it, I messaged Ray again and asked them to please ask Sean Strickland and the coaches to send me a poster. Yeah. So I've got two posters now going to be displayed proudly at the gym of second generation BLG. Yeah, very, very humble to hear that.
It's amazing, man, that like halfway around the world, the competition facing guys that are directly under you or directly through the lineage to you, competing for the world on the world stage, right, for world titles, etc.
Never in a million years, that I thought that will happen. We just enjoy what we do, train guys, train kids, and next minute, they're fighting each other on the world stage.
Amazing. Having that with Sean, having that help from like Ray Sefo, also one of the OGs of striking, obviously. How do you think that might have affected his skills and his game plan going into face Izzy?
Well, we do have a system identifying the distance and range and so on, and they add on their own sort of flavor and old style and their own style into it. Eugene sort of grow from there and Ray Sefo grow from there. But when it comes down to distancing and range and little things like that, hiding and distracting your lead, it's something that we worked on for a long time. And you can see that on Israel's fight as well. But, seeing Sean doing distracting, keeping his range and distance just as this is coming to the distance, and he stopped just before he overstepped the mark and catch Israel and distract him with front kicks. It was really awesome to see, and it was a chess match, but you can see Sean the way he was coming into the firing zone. He didn't overstep, and those little front kick that he was doing, and it probably had more effect than most people can see, upsetting Israel, But not good on him, it's yeah. I mean, but you're right that Israel wasn't he's not the Israel that we know in the past, but what Sean and his team was doing, it was perfect. And when people told me, oh, he was unorthodox, actually he was more orthodox and simple, and nobody, no one was thinking of doing that before. If you notice, I think it was the first round. You know how Izzy put his hand up as an object, as a barrier, obstacle, therefore, to distract your people's range and distancing. Sean actually grabbed his hand and attempt to strike, and we surprised Israel when he grabbed his gloves. And so I think he may have readjusted his firing zone distance to a little bit longer because he didn't want to get his hand grabbed. But by doing that, he had to lead from a longer distance, which just gave Sean so much time to evade it easily. Not like how easy it is to catch people on the drift. It was a simple game plan, but it was worked really well. So Sean's team did a great job. Setting up a very good plan, which upset the champ. Although you're probably not going to work twice, they fight again. But it was and the weapon he used was just front kick, which means that Izzy is a good counter fighter. If you counter by front kick without having to turn your body, you have your hands up there to block and parry and evade or even try and catch Izzy on your way in, because his balance and center of gravity a lot better by just firing a front kick and stay in the center to deal with whatever he's going to try and throw back at him. It was a simple game plan, but was very effective.
Yeah, Lolo, and those small things like you mentioned, like just disrupting Israel's lead hand with his own hand, and then also you mentioned before in our chat about he was catching some of those front kicks as well, which those little things can add up to kind of disrupt Israel's game, right?
Yes. I mean, but like I said, if Sean had to 10, he's going to put himself in a dimension where it's slower for him to recover to either follow up with the hand. But with the front kick, his balance is, when he throws his front kick, his balance to 75%. Good. Because front kick, you can just throw it and then you come back and land in the front, and you're back to 100% center of gravity again to either defend, parry, or follow up. It was a simple game plan as you can think of, and no one thought about it before until Sean and his team came in. To fight somebody like Israel.
Yeah, and Izzy as well. You could see that he was concentrating on like landing a bomb. Maybe he's influenced by seeing Strickland lose by KO to Pereira or something. But seeing a guy that can be bombed out, I think in his head he was thinking that he would be able to catch him with a single hard shot and maybe put him out. I think that might have given a little bit to his game as well, right?
Of course. It's happened before. It happened to Mark Hunt. I wouldn't rule out underestimation. That's happened in the fight game. I see that happen with every fighter. Even some of our top fighters. I remember Mark was fighting Miocic, and he knocked out Steph, and Steph knocked out Miocic. So he sort of took the foot off the brake a little bit, thinking, oh, yeah, the guy he knocked out knocked him out, so it's going to be and Mark got the worst beating of his life from Miocic. Yeah. So it's I can see a little bit of underestimate from Izzy. It must be really hard for him being a superstar to find a quality time to train, because he's always asked to make an appearance at UFC fights or in Dubai, or he'll go himself and support some of the CKB guys fighting, and he fought two guys who had beat Sean Strickland, and they thought, oh yeah, it's going to be it's not going to be an easy fight, but I know I can deal with it, and I get, you know what I mean. So, but now it's we know that it's going to be a different Izzy come back on a rematch, but yeah, good on Sean, and just hearing Ray talk about Sean, he's less than a week. He's already back at the gym, grinding, sparring, and so it's he looked like the more hungrier fighter.
Actually, that reminds me, when you were talking about Sefo, you said before that straight after the fights he was straight back in the gym as quickly as he could be as well. So maybe he's given him a bit of that sort of work ethic.
Of course, I think at one time in Israel was doing the same thing as well. But I think it's and this is a wake up call. The champ will come back and train hard. It'll be interesting to see the rematch, because Sean now is full of confidence, and whatever little things that Izzy is going to do, or little detail throwing punches in between his lead, or if he's too far away, with somebody like Sean, who had nothing to lose in a first fight, he would just throw it, and he caught Izzy when Izzy tried to come in, but he was the underdog, so I don't know what kind of mentality that he's going to bring into the next fight, knowing that he actually beat Israel quite comfortable on points, and that's not an easy thing to do. You either remember the fight between Israel and Pereira, the first fight. Israel was winning on points until he got knocked out. This fight here, this what is going to make the rematch more interesting, because Sean was winning on points, and and he got the judges scored against Israel, and Eugene always talk about the fight that they almost win but lost on a knockdown or stoppage. Now this is a different case altogether. The judges favor Strickland, so I can't wait for the rematch.
Yeah, man. And you mentioned about the distancing too, that Izzy was on the back foot a lot, and he was taking a long step back, which then made him have to, move considerably forward to execute any shots, right? Which makes it a bit more difficult to land than Strickland, who's pacing forward. Could you talk on that a little bit?
I'm just guessing. I haven't really studied the fight or watched the fight, so I don't have a fight pass. But I'm just talking to you out of memory from what I remember seeing the fight, and I remember the guy Sean grabbed Izzy's gloves, and then Izzy tried to break free, and then he's trying to throw, and he threw something, and then I noticed that Izzy was throwing his lead. He was too far away, and it doesn't matter whether he was trying to set up a right hand or a left kick, because Izzy can throw left kick very, very far and very, very fast. And Sean was evading that single shot by just leaning back, and then then he used that to slingshot back with his own counter. But there's a lot of other things that Izzy normally would have done better. Feinting and draw, and then you take baby step. Because if you take a long step, by the time you're going to intercept and attack the moments of your opponent, he's already set. And then you know, like the rule number one is don't attack somebody who stands still, because if you attack somebody who wants to stand still, first you have to bridge the gap to a point you can reach, and then you strike. There's two movements. He only needs to strike. So it's a simple mathematics who's going to win the race to the target. But I felt that Sean he walked down Izzy, but he just stopped just right at the end of the firing zone. And I'm very big on range and distance, and I know Ray would have worked a lot of that with the guys that he works with. And he stopped there, and he used the longest weapon that was his front kick to keep Izzy at bay or make him extend his distance. So when he leads, he'll have plenty of time to evade it, counter, or even beat Izzy on his way in. On his way in. So it looked like a simple thing, but it was quite very, very technical, and it was very simple. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And another thing which I was thinking is, Izzy's been competing with and training with a lot of guys that have a kind of orthodox style, right? Like not an unusual style. And then to come up with Strickland, just his guard is a bit unusual. Like it kind of reminds me of guys with karate backgrounds, the way they use their arms to block, and of course crossed over with Philly shell, etc. But he's deflecting shots a little bit differently than other people do. His guard's a little bit different. Do you think that plays a part as well or not?
No, I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's everything you do, which is movement of your hand or movement of your feet. It's all distractions, and it's because when you fight and you throw your punch and you throw a kick, you just throw it as orthodox as the next guy. But with Muhammad Ali, he used to do a shuffle, and then when people watch his feet, he punch him in the head on top. You see that guy was in Cape, what's him? Helen Cape. He just do a sprawl, or he can play drum on his thighs, and it's all part of distraction to try and divide your opponent's focus and peripheral vision, and distract. So moving the hand. See, but the way that Sean was moving his hand, I mean, when you feint, there's a few different ways of feint. You can do a step over feint and then pull back, or do an arm feint, or do a hip feint. And some of the feint that you step in and then step out, you can distract your opponent, but it's also put you on losing a bit of your speed to take advantage, because your feet are moving. Sean his feet was 100% balanced. His hand was all over the place, so he's ready to strike, whether it's reset to throw a punch or throw a front kick or whatever, because his balance was 100%. So it's a different way of feinting and faking that they was working for him, and because he was moving his hand like this all over the place, but his balance was 100%, so he was ready to strike in any second, because it's none of his body limbs put him slide off to one side or another. He was standing a bit in the middle, and he has 100% center of gravity, so that make him. He can lead a lot faster, rather than when you feint like this, and then sometimes you feint and somebody move in, you still have to set before you fire it. It's a different case with Aldo and McGregor. McGregor was doing a feint, and he still beat Aldo to the punch, because Aldo was so angry for 12 months, or get traumatized and trash talk and stuff. So he knew it was wrong, but he still rushed into it. So McGregor did a long feint and come back and still beat him to the punch.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
on that note, did you see Sean O'Malley's recent KO against Aljamain Sterling? That was a similar sort of similar knockout when they put them together.
No, I didn't watch that fight. I actually, it was more entertaining for me watching Israel and a South African guy talk, and I just, I'm not ruling out the fact that maybe Izzy was already thinking about the South African guy and overlooked, Sean Strickland.
Yeah, perhaps. Hey, Lolo, also just wondering if you were training up a fighter to compete against Sean Strickland, what sort of things would you be working on?
I'd rather just tell Eugene and Izzy that. Yeah, well, it's probably not so much of what to do because, Rick and Ray, they're very smart. Sean will be working on other things as well. But, probably what not to do rather than come out, and then I know that Eugene would have told Izzy that just stop hanging around the cage area and then work on the way how to distract and then bring himself to the center of the octagon, stay away from there. Izzy's not very successful. I know last fight he did a rope-a-dope and it was working for him. But Sean was fired a front kick first, and so Izzy doesn't know when the right hand comes in. So, so probably it's not what to do, it's not hanging out that area and find a way to distract Sean and give the fight the center of the ring, the center of the octagon, probably the fashion, because when Izzy relaxes and in the center of the ring, he's very dangerous. He's got so many arsenals, But yes, I probably more what not to do, or then because the game plan always changes, and I know Israel and Eugene and his team will bring something totally different next fight, and I know Rick and Sean will do something similar. Yeah, I'm not giving anything away.
Yeah, that's fair enough, man. Fair enough. I tried anyway. Hey, I wanted to know, did you watch the fight the other night between Aaron Toe and Dominic Reed?
No, sorry, man.
Man, if you get a chance, have a look, man. I think Aaron Toe is one to watch out for, man. He was fighting a very good Muay Thai fighter in Dominic Reed, and in the first round, they were doing the like different rules, the Arsenal X rules. So it started with kickboxing, but every time Aaron landed anything, he was really hurting the guy, man. He's got some power in those hands, I think he's one to look for.
Yeah, sorry, man. It's rugby World Cup, and I've been spending a lot of time watching rugby. But yes, I actually like that kid, that Brazilian kid, Dos Santos, that fought Cape last week.
Yeah. Oh, that was amazing.
That kid, I think that kid is going to be a beast. He's going to beat everyone up, I think he's a big dark horse for their weight divisions. He's tough, and that Cape can make anybody look bad. And their fight was actually a 50-50 fight. He landed shot as hard as Cape, but Cape, he just got a solid chin that made the other guys strike a big shot look like nothing. But I think they both land similar kind of power shot. This one can take shot a lot better, So yeah, so I'm looking forward to follow. And he's only young, isn't he? That Dos Santos. Yeah, and he took the fight with short notice.
Every time he countered Lolo, he threw so heavy, right? Like he'd get hit and he'd counter so heavy. It was amazing. Good to watch.
Yeah. He's heavy-handed too. It's just that Cape's got a granite chin, Yeah. I mean, he I can see he wobble, but he keep the poker face very good.
And man, watching these fights, it shows you, the up and downs of the MMA journey. You got guys like Kevin Ducey, first fight, doing really well. And then you've got your Shane Young and your Blood Diamond, breaks your heart to watch these guys. You want to see them win, but it's a tough game, right?
Yes. I mean, I really want Blood Diamond to win so bad, It just, I think the guy, it's hard because it's hard because I don't know how well he progressed in his grappling and wrestling, but I think the guy fights better when there's no plan. He just go in there and just do whatever he thinks come right, because even him doesn't know what he's doing, but they're working better, I think when he had to follow a strict game plan, he sort of make him a one beat away. I don't know, but yeah, he was very unlucky last time. But I really want Diamond to win so bad.
True, man. But I think you can really see his progression with his takedown defense. But like you said, maybe that's distracting him from his own game a little bit,
Yeah, the guy fight the best when he just throw anything, from awkward position where, thing that his body language sees things gonna do, but he'll come out with something totally different. I think that's when he fight his best.
True. Hey, Lolo, I wanted to get your ideas on any up-and-comers or anyone in the New Zealand side of things that are fighting internationally that we should be keeping our eye out for, people that you think are, big prospects.
Well, it's I just can't wait to see the Hangman, get back in there. Hopefully the injury will heal up. He's my hero, he's the toughest guy in New Zealand, if not in the world stage. So I can't wait for Dan to recover, because I know he's had time now to look at things and how he can improve his game. But only him can win fights with such a bad injury like that. So yeah, but yeah, I think it's the interesting thing to see now is the middleweight division after the win from Strickland. I think it gave everyone else that confident they can beat Izzy as well. So it's probably, as much as I didn't like to see our guy lose, but I think it's probably good for the middleweight division. So it'd be to see now these guys that might come up from the welterweight or drop down from light heavyweight to middleweight. We'll see. Yeah, but yeah, I still know that there's still a lot of fighting left on a champ in Israel.
Exactly. It'd be interesting to see his path back up there. And then Pereira also jumping up a division and fighting Jan Blachowicz. Not Jan Blachowicz, he's fighting the Yuri. That should be an interesting one. Yes,
I know. It's that's what I mean. Will he come down and try and take the division out, against Sean and have another super fight with Izzy later on? We'll never know. We'll see what the Dana White and Sean Shelby will be. But that now it's wide open now and make things more interesting than ever.
Man, and obviously with your gym and some of the young fellas, how are they all going, and who can we expect to see in the future, up in the big lights?
Yes, I saw a little bit of some of the guys fighting at the other night at Jason Suddy's.
Yeah, that was the Arsenal X show. Yep.
It was, and I saw some really raw talent and young guys, not just from CKB, but all around the country. So interesting to see what's going to happen in the future for them. But yeah, the future of MMA is very healthy in New Zealand and looks good for the future. So, yeah.
Nice. All right, Lolo. Well, I think I've kept you long enough. It's given us some good material about the UFC 293, and I'll let you keep your secrets, and we'll see how Izzy goes next time, man.
Thank you, bro.